Week 1 of the UFL is in the books. All of the games were super fun to watch and gave me a lot of hope for what to expect from the league in the coming weeks. But before those weeks do come, let's rank all 8 teams based on their performance from this past week. At number 8, we have the Houston Gamblers. The Gamblers didn't play terribly this week, especially quarterback Hunter Deckers, who went 19 for 29 with 227 yards and no touchdowns or interceptions. The issue is that his team didn't give him the support he needed to put on a super convincing performance. Houston's other quarterback, Nolan Henderson, threw only 9 passes, 3 of which were completed and 2 of which were picked off. The run game was practically non-existent with only 42 yards on the ground, and the defense didn't do much other than cause 1 fumble that they didn't recover. Overall, I'm not super impressed with this performance from Houston. Their only 2 touchdowns came from a kick return and 1 touchdown in garbage time, which is not a great way to win a football game. Overall, I don't see any evidence that they should be higher than number 8. At number 7, we have the Louisville Kings. The Kings didn't play as well as some people were expecting. I'm on the other side of that argument, as they outperformed my expectations. I thought the Stallions would win by 20 plus points. I think the brightest point for the Kings is quarterback Jason Bean. He didn't play that well in this game, but I think he has better potential than people have been giving him credit for. Overall, I don't see things getting much better for the Kings this upcoming week as they go on the road to play the Orlando Storm. At number 6, we have the DC Defenders. The Defenders, even though I predicted that they would lose this game, really disappointed me in the way they played. Jordan Ta'amu definitely had an off day, only completing 9 of his meager 16 passes, including 2 interceptions. He also recorded 0 touchdown passes and only 123 yards. The team also only had 73 total rushing yards for the game, with the sole touchdown of the game for DC coming on the ground courtesy of Deion Jackson. Honestly, I blame most of this poor offensive play on the offensive line, who allowed Ta'amu to be sacked 7 times in this game. I think if DC had a better line, this game would have gone very differently. One bright spot, however, was the kicking, with kicker Matt McCrane scoring the first ever 4-point field goal in football history. Overall, I'd be worried if I'm DC. If they can't figure out this offensive line soon, I don't see this season going very well for them. At number 5, we have the Columbus Aviators. The Aviators looked much better in this game than I think people are giving them credit for. They had a real chance to win their game this week, being down by 1 score with the ball with just under a minute left, losing it on 4th down. Jalen McClendon didn't look bad either. He threw for 212 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. The team also had a couple of really big offensive plays that were really fun to watch. The places where they struggled were ball security and penalties. Their defense was very up and down, giving up the second most points this week, but also recording 4 sacks. Overall, I think this year could still go either way for the Aviators, and I'm very excited to see how their next game against the Defenders goes. Coming in at number 4, we have the Birmingham Stallions. The Stallions were the weakest looking of the teams that won this week, especially considering how well they were projected to do this year. They had a respectable 112 rushing yards and 207 passing yards, but they just couldn't pull away in this game, allowing Louisville to hang around much longer than they should have. Matt Corral looked very good, both in his performance and the Stallions' beautiful new road uniforms. In addition, this team needs to find a new kicker as soon as possible. Jonathan Garibay missed a field goal and 1 or 2 extra points, which is something that really shouldn't be tolerated in a league that's trying so hard to emphasize the roles of kickers. If I'm being honest, I don't think it would be unfair to put quite a bit of the blame for this poor showing on the Stallions' coaching staff. I don't think A.J. McCarron is a bad coach by any means, but it is his first time coaching a football team, and that's naturally going to come with growing pains. I do think this team will improve over the coming weeks, but at the moment, there's a lot left to be desired. At number 3, we have the St. Louis Battlehawks. The Battlehawks were my preseason pick to win the UFL championship, and honestly, I'm sticking by that pick for right now. The offense needs some work, especially the offensive line, who gave up 3 sacks. Along with that, I don't think that Brandon Silvers is the quarterback I thought he would be this season. He threw for nearly 200 yards and 1 touchdown, but he also threw 2 picks and didn't show a whole lot of potential when it comes to running the ball. His upside is that he was really good at throwing the ball on target. The issue with that is that his receivers struggled with catching the ball when it was thrown to them. On the other hand, the Battlehawks defense looked really solid. They gave up fewer than 200 yards total and only 10 points. They also sacked Jordan Ta'amu 7 times, as well as causing a fumble and intercepting the ball twice. In my opinion, if the Battlehawks are going to do well this season, it'll mostly be because of their defense. At number 2, we have the Orlando Storm. The Storm had a very solid game on the offensive side of the ball. They ran for 139 rushing yards and threw 240 passing yards. I was honestly shocked when Coach Beck decided to start Jack Plummer over Dorian Thompson-Robinson, but it seems like he made a good choice, given that they put up the second most points in the league with 23. I do think the Storm's offense was bailed out a bit by their defense, however. They got their stops when they needed to, especially on Columbus's last drive of the game. Jack Plummer did also throw the ball right at the defense a few times, but all of those times they were dropped. Overall, I think the Storm had a really impressive showing this week, and I'm excited to see them play more. Hopefully, some success will help prompt more fans to show up to their games. And, as I'm sure you all expected, at number 1 we have the Dallas Renegades. The Renegades were the only team this week to win by multiple scores, and they looked really good while doing it. Their defense really only gave up 9 points, as one of the Gamblers' touchdowns came off a kickoff return. Along with that, the Renegades only gave up 42 rushing yards the whole game. They also got 2 interceptions, one of which was returned back for a touchdown. On the offensive side of things, Dallas also had a very good game. They struggled to establish the run game, only having 2.8 yards per rush and 78 yards on the ground total, but that was completely counteracted by their amazing showing through the air. Quarterback Austin Reed had one of the best games we've ever seen from a quarterback in the UFL. He broke the league record for passing yards in a single regular season game with 376, along with throwing 3 touchdown passes. I suppose it makes sense now why Coach Neuheisel decided to start Reed over Luis Perez. That being said, I do think that Neuheisel is an early candidate for UFL Coach of the Year. All in all, I think Dallas is the obvious choice for the best team in the league at the moment.